Hello, this is Brennan Wilmington, and welcome back to another Lumen Stock Invitational Amateur Series race, season number 4, race number 8 of the 20 race season, approaching the halfway point for the amateur guys and approaching the halfway point for the regular season, and things are getting really heated up towards the front of the standings. But we are on our first of two road courses on the amateur series schedule here at Sonoma, California, the 2 mile winding up and downhill road course. And it's going to be a fun one for sure, as once again we're getting closer and closer to those final three races that will decide the championship. Let's take a quick look at how the point standings look right now. Kaylee Maxwell is still your points leader, and while she has not had that great of finishes over the last 3 weeks, the four top fives in a row that she got to start off the season is still carrying her. She has a 16-point lead over Mauricia Vebels, who just won the race at Daytona to claim her second win of the season. Latanya Gray right behind her in third, 20 points back of Kaylee Maxwell, and 5 points up on the cutoff. Vebels is 7 points up, Maxwell 25 points up. And Duncan Ward currently is the last driver inside the top four with 158 points, 22 points back of Kaylee Maxwell, 3 points up on the cutoff. The cutoff driver being Bridget Brousseau in the number 72, and then a bit of a gap back to sixth place. Currently, the wildcard drivers are Stephen Jones down in 18th in points, as well as Kasumi Takashi in seventh. A lot of our race winners have actually struggled throughout most of the season, so we have had a bit of an interesting wild card battle here as drivers deep in the points are battling for that spot. But there's still a lot of season left to go, so that could definitely change for sure. We have 23 laps here at Sonoma, California. Should be a one-stop race, but that one pit cycle could be very, very important. And I'll explain a little bit more about that once we actually get to that pit cycle. But first, let's look at your starting lineup. On the pole is Duncan Ward in the number 26, who we just mentioned is fourth in points. Needs to gain some points on that cutoff, and this is a great way of doing it, starting on pole on a road course, where qualifying is probably at its most important on the season. And alongside the 26 of Duncan Ward is Oscar Duvall in the number 50, down in 16th in points right now. Row number 2, a pair of purple cars. It's the 97 of Cassidy Jones and the 80 car of Jean-Martin Boucher. Row number 3 is the 99 of Alan Marshall and the 59 of Richard Mackley. So good qualifying run for the Appalachia cars, or at least the two that have been struggling the most. So that's a good sign for the team that has won the last 3 drivers' championships but has got off to a bad start this season. Then it's the 19 car of Henry Wall, who got a top 5 in the Daytona race, alongside the 6 car of Ben Tedchenko. Row number 5 is Spencer Rallison in the 41 and Amani Huandayo in the 10. 2 contenders from last year that are struggling this year. Then you've got a pair of 4x4 racing teammates, the number 66 of Kaylee Maxwell, the current points leader, alongside the 96 car of Dawson Lynn. Then it's Bart Seiler in the 95 and the 75 of Isabella Fitzmaurice. Got the 40 of Takamoto Aya and the 16 car of Steve Brack. The 67 of Stephen Jones and the 44 of Mercedes Washington. Then you've got Lucas Forster in the number 15 and the 72 car of Bridget Brousseau. Brousseau's teammate Sky Jetta starts behind her alongside the 20 of Kasumi Takashi. Then it's the 71 car of Rhea Wickham and the 43 of Walter Bowser. You got Latanya Gray and Mauricia Vebels both starting in the back in the same row. And then it's the 4 of Annie Baker and the 00 of Maria Gonzalez. And rounding out the field is Giami McJasmina and the 77 of Lance Holman. Like I said, we will be having a 23-lap race here at Sonoma. It should go by pretty quick. Of course, no cautions on the road courses. We still have that implemented, just like we saw for the Cup Series at COTA, and like we will see in the Cup Series at Most Sport later this week. But it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Sonoma has been off and on the schedule for quite a few years, and I believe the amateurs have gone here once before. a couple of seasons ago. So this is their return here, and we'll see how this race ends up playing out.
Drivers, start your engines.
And the field will roll off here at the Sonoma Raceway. And no mechanical issues off the start. Well, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Duncan Ward and Oscar Duval, two drivers who we don't really think about their road course skills that much. Of course, we don't really consider that too much in general with the amateur series drivers because they don't get to race on road courses very often, but this could end up being a track where some of the drivers that you don't usually see up at the front end up rising up to the occasion. But we do have one of those drivers that have been up front all season, leading the pack in Duncan Ward. He will lead everybody to the green flag, and we are underway here at the Sonoma Raceway. Coming down the hill, Duncan Ward got away with the lead. Duval still in second. You got to really watch out in this section of the track. This corner right here has taken out many drivers in the past, especially ones that try to go side by side, but it looks like everybody will make it through cleanly on the first lap. And then you've got the hairpin down in turn 11, which has messed up drivers in the past as well. But Ward and Duval are looking pretty clean as they come around for the first time, and Duncan Ward is going to lead lap number 1 coming across the line here. Now I would expect to be not much challenging for the lead until we get to the pit stops. Richard Mackley is flying up through the field, though. He started in 6th place, and he is now working on Jean-Martin Boucher for 3rd, and he will pass the BO Racing driver to make it a Appalachia 2-3 at the front. Alan Marshall has also been climbing ever since the start of the race. A lot of shuffling around this starting order outside of the top 2. Marshall started outside the top 10, and he's going to work his way up into P5. So there's a lot of passing that goes on here at Sonoma, especially early in the race. Not necessarily the most up at the front. That is pretty typical of, Walter Bowser hard into the wall. He got shoved off the track by Sky and Jetta. We saw it just ahead of Latanya Gray, who we were focusing on. And the 43 of Walter Bowser is junked. That is unfortunate for the Perez Racing driver. He was 14th in points. Had a strong stretch of 4 top 15s in a row in races 2 through 5, but it's been a rough go ever since, and Bowser's going to be heading into the pits on the second lap of the damaged race car. Accidents are not infrequent here at Sonoma, especially we pointed out that corner was dangerous on the first lap, and there's your first example of it as he got hard into that wall there. Kept driving the car afterwards, but probably a lot of damage on the AutoZone Ford, but there it is, your first incident of the race. Things starting to single file out here as Duncan Ward runs away from Oscar Duval. But he takes it really wide through that corner, actually kicks up some of the dirt there, and that'll give Duval a little bit of time back, but Ward's got a second lead now, so he's got a pretty solid lead to hang on to for this first run. Mackley's holding his own in 3rd. And Jean-Martin Boucher actually got back past the 99 of Alan Marshall for the 4th position. Cassidy Jones in 6th. She is currently, if I'm not mistaken, in the point standing. She is inside the... Oh, we've had a big crash in the back. Oh, Takashi has gone around, and she's going to keep her car going. It looks like it wasn't just her. Bart Seiler, Takamoto Aya. Takashi and Aya are 2 of our better road course drivers. And they both just got taken out in this accident. In fact, Iowa's a road course ringer in Cup. It still is a road course ringer in Cup. And that car is going to be out of the race. I have no idea what happened there. We'll show you a little inset on the bottom right of your screen showing what happened there. But I just saw a lot of dust in turn 11. That's an unusual spot for an accident to happen. But Bart Seiler is junked as well. He did not need that. Sky and Jeddah also came into the pit lane, possibly from the contact with Walter Bowser the previous lap. Oh, Brosseau trying to hang on to it. She keeps it on the road. Well, as best she can. You see a lot of tire marks going up towards turn number 11. And now Walter Bowser has come back out on the track right in front of the leader, Duncan Ward. I'm curious to see if this will keep Duncan Ward from pulling away with the lead and maybe make it a bit closer between him and these two Appalachia cars as Mackley's trying to get by Oscar Duval here for P2. And Richard Mackley, I believe right now, is the only driver in the field that has not scored a top 10. That is true. He's the only one that doesn't have a top 10 this year, but running P3 right now in the Delta Chevrolet, who used to drive for North Star Motorsports in the amateur series a couple years back, but when that team shut down, Mackley became a free agent. Missed all of last year, but came back this year after being given a chance with Appalachian Motorsports as he runs wide there and Duval will pull away. And you know, it's been a rough season for Mackley. He just has had a general lack of pace. His best finish was 13th back at Auto Club, but this could be a good day for him if he manages to take advantage. Duncan Ward is not going to tolerate Walter Bowser being in front of him. I have a feeling sooner rather than later he's going to do something about this 43. And they just now have finished repairing the damage on Kasumi Takashi's car, so she will come back out onto the track. And I want to keep an eye on this because this is a dangerous merge point and could result in another accident. We've seen lots of issues with this in the past as the racing line is right in the middle of where these cars are trying to come out to pit, but thankfully that time did not cause any problems and Takashi will merge in cleanly. That's something we're going to have to watch out during the pit cycle as well. That could change the outcome of the race. Henry Wall now underneath the 97 of Cassidy Jones. This is for 6th position. And Wall will take the spot away. He just saw his teammate crash out of the race, so he knows he's going to have to try and not do the same for this HRC Vision Motorsports team. Oh, Brosseau is off in the dirt again. She's going to lose at least one, probably two, maybe even 3 spots here. Lose a spot to Steve Brack and Stephen Jones. But it doesn't look like Forrester is going to get to her quick enough to make a move, although he's going to try and make a move in the hairpin in turn 11 here. Side by side, or it looks like Brosseau will hold him off. And Duncan Ward has actually gotten past Walter Bowser and put him a lap down, and Richard Mackley is trying to get past Oscar Duval. 2 cars are side by side battling for P2, and it looks like Duval got a good run off of turn 3 and managed to stay ahead of the 59 of Mackley as they now go through turn number 7. Of course, the corner numbers here are not quite lined up perfectly because the stock cars usually skip the carousel part of the track. So you go from turn 4 straight to turn 7, but Duncan Ward still in the lead here, 7 laps in. Duval and Mackley continue to battle for 2nd place, and the 80 of Jean-Martin Boucher might lose 4th again to Alan Marshall, as these two have been going back and forth for position all race long. Defensive line there from Alan Marshall to try and keep the 80 from making a move on him in turns 1 and 2. And he will drive away here, and now the 80 car is in the clutches of Henry Wall, trying to move into the top 5. It'd be 2 straight top 5s for Wall if he could pull it off. Oh, he uses the bumper on the 80, and he is going to slide wide there in turn number 4. Henry Wall is going to bump and run his way into P5. After the rough start to the season he had, really the rough career that he's had so far, back-to-back top 5s would be huge for him. Oh, Cassidy Jones is wide, and a crash in the back. That's Kaylee Maxwell, the points leader, involved. And Ben Tachenko in the 6. The Fords have collided in turn number 9. And this could be huge for the points. Maxwell hit that wall pretty hard. And it looks like she's going to dip into the pits to try and repair it. She and Tachenko collided at the top of the hill there. Both cars will now go into the pit lane. They both hit hard on the right side. And that corner has struck again. It has been problem. Oh, LaTanya Gray is around as well. Off in turn number 1. Not sure what happened there. So that might be another inset replay situation, but LaTanya Gray was already struggling, and now Amani Huandayo is off the track. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the 10 car, at least at first glance, but she does appear to be off the pace somewhat, so maybe she was the one that got into the 14 of LaTanya Gray. Now, something is definitely wrong with the 10, but it's not showing up in the logs, it appears. Huandayo was 7th, scored 7th last time around, so something has gone wrong there. It looks like LaTanya Gray had come into pit. She was a lap down before getting involved in something, and Huandayo will come into the pit lane. Lots of things happening. We did have a few cars come in. Steve Brack was another one of them. So possibly a strategy call there for the 16 of Steve Brack. And I believe that LaTanya Gray tried the same thing, but she has a damaged race car now. She's still out there, but in 27th place and 1 lap down, she's not in a good spot to score any good points. And that's bad news for her because she's only 5 points up on the cut line. Bridget Brosseau is... Oh, wait. Is that front end damage on Mauricia Vebel's car? I'm not sure if that was before or after the incident. But maybe she was the one that sent LaTanya Gray in turn 1. That would be very interesting if that was the case. I believe Vebelst is still on the lead lap in 16th. And of course you will see in the corner if Mauricia Vebelst did indeed do it there to LaTanya Gray, as Mercedes Washington has some right side damage and is coming into the pits. And it looks like Huandayo is just leaving the pits. Absolute pandemonium here in the midfield at Sonoma. And Alan Marshall is going to try and get past the lap car of Walter Bowser. So he currently runs in the 4th position. Hit back-to-back runner-ups to start the year, but then went on a big slide all the way down outside the top 10 in points. But he got a top 10 at Daytona last week and trying to get another good finish here. Duncan Ward is still the leader. He's led all 11 laps up to this point. He's got a 2.2 second lead, looking for his 2nd career LSCI Amateur Series win. And it's been a big month for Duncan Ward. He tried to make the Lumen 500, and even though he failed to qualify, he got some more races with the Checker Flag Motorsports team later. Not quite sure what races he will be running yet, but it seems like the team is thinking about putting him in the car a little bit more. but could be more Cup starts for Duncan Ward coming up, as he has really shown out this season as the leader of the Seven Hills Autosport team. Checking in on Kaylee Maxwell, of course, she is a lap down after coming in and pitting. 23rd place right now for the 66. And the only car out of the race is Takamoto Aya, and we saw that smoke coming out of the 40, so that does not surprise me at all. Maxwell's going to slide wide and hang on to it. And of course, on top of the little insets in the bottom corner, we will have the crash cam at the end of the race. In fact, I don't know if we're going to have the insets for the amateur races, but we might have them for the Cup Series. But regardless, we will show everything that happened at the end. So, we will find out what happened to Latanya Gray, Takamoto Aya, and all those. But battle for second continues as Richard Mackley tries to get by Oscar Duval in the number 50 car. 2.5 seconds now back of Duncan Ward. I think this 59 might be faster than Duval, but has struggled to find a way around. But I think the best way that Mackley could get by Duval here is by getting by him in the pit lane. So that pit stop is going to be coming very shortly. We've already seen some of them take their first pit stop, which for some of them, they might have to come back down a second time, but some of them might be able to stretch it to the end. But regardless, I believe most of them, if not all of them, came in for damage repair. And Duncan Ward is going to pit right here on lap number 13. Will anyone stay out? Ward is the only one to come in on lap 13. So that will hand the lead over to Oscar Duval in the number 50. Now, I do like undercutting like Duncan Ward is doing, but the fact that everybody else is still out there is concerning me a little bit for that 26 car. He was the only one to come down. And now it's an absolute gaggle of cars trying to fight for the provisional lead. Oscar Duval and Richard Mackley leading that group with Alan Marshall and Henry Wall. Both these cars here, the 43 and the 6, are a lap down. The next car on the lead lap is Dawson Lynn in the 96, who's actually done a pretty good job of gaining spots here. Dawson Lynn has had a very rough struggle in the amateur series. He has a win at Phoenix from last year, but oh, Maxwell is off the track again. But this time she'll collect it without damaging the car, and that's one less lap car Dawson Lynn has to worry about. But don't think you would have to worry about her for very long anyway, because here comes everybody into the pit lane. And a few of them overcooked it a little bit going into pit entry. So we'll see how much that ends up affecting them. I saw the 99 and the 59 both hit the wall there. Not necessarily the easiest pit entry to get through, but bit of struggle there. There's Duncan Ward out on the racetrack. He is in the S's right now. We will see where the rest of these guys come out relative to Duncan Ward. Specifically, the 50 of Oscar Duval, who led them into the pit lane. Gonna keep an eye on that 50 car. If he comes out ahead of Duncan Ward, things could get interesting. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was Duncan that you just saw on the racetrack. No, that's Hondayo, actually. Hold on a second. Where is the 26 car? Oh, there he is. Coming out of the pits now, and Oscar Duval is going to come out right behind him. He's going to have one lap fresher tires on this 26 car, and he did not lose much time. In fact, I believe he gained some time on Duncan Ward. However, it's going to take about a lap for those tires to warm up, so Ward should still be faster than the 50 and everybody else on this lap. Isabella Fitzmaurice is fighting with Jean-Martin Boucher for position here. She had a pretty good pit stop, and she'll pass him around the outside in that number 75. Doesn't look like tapping the wall affected them that much, the ones that did. Duncan Ward trying to extend that lead out. It looks like that lead is going to look pretty safe now, as again, these guys that just got out on the track still have cold tires, and the lap car, Steve Brack, is going to try and get by Richard Mackley here in turn 11. That should show you just where the tires are right now in terms of speed, but they should, once they rubber in, they should be faster than Duncan Ward. But how much faster is the question here? Oh, be careful, Walter Bowser is going to stay out of the way. So that's a good sign right there. Oh, Bart Seiler has blown up in the 95, or possibly gotten into an accident. That doesn't look like a mechanical failure, at least that's what our logs are telling us. So he got into something, and that car has grenaded. And that's going to be right in front of Duncan Ward, so Ward's going to have to navigate this. He has a 2.5 second lead, but he's closing up on the 95, and the 95's in the middle of the track. Ward had to take an evasive maneuver. He's going to go through the grass here to try and get around him. Oh, but it was even worse for Duval as he goes way off the racetrack, completely misses the corner, trying to get past his stricken teammate. And that will move Richard Mackley into second, but that's exactly what Duncan Ward wanted to see. They're going to be nowhere near him now, as there is Ward leaving the hairpin and going through turn 12. What is the gap going to be now? Not only does he have the lead, he's got 2 lapped cars between himself. Actually, Steve Brack is in second right now. He has not come in for his second stop. I forgot that he came in. He came in early. We'll see if he can make it to the end on just one stop. There'll be 7 laps to go. I don't remember the lap he pitted. It was lap 9 or 10, somewhere around there. But regardless, he's 3.6 seconds back of his teammate Duncan Ward. And Ward is absolutely checked out. I think Duval probably had the best chance to get by Ward there, but he absolutely overcooked it there. He caught that 95 at possibly the worst time, and he just completely overshot the corner. Oh, Walter Bowser's going to overshoot the corner. So that's one less lapped car that Mackley will have to deal with, and it looks like he'll bring Duval with him. Dawson Lynn running in 5th, Alan Marshall in 6th, and Henry Wall and Isabella Fitzmaurice are side by side for 7th going into the hairpin. Stephen Jones, shout out to him, running in 10th right now. That'll help him in the wild card for sure, if he can gain some more spots and points off of that, especially considering Takashi is wounded. And there's Takashi in the pits right now, taking her second pit stop. But it's now 4 seconds between the 26 and the 16. The 59 and 50 have gotten by all the lap traffic now. They have Steve Brack to worry about still, but Brack is for position. He is in P2 right here. These two should be faster than Brack at this point. Brack has several lap older tires than they do. But the problem is, will they get close enough to Duncan Ward? And honestly, at this point, I doubt it. Hondayo appears to be off the pace, the number 10 car, at least a little bit, so she could be an issue for Duncan Ward here, but we will see. Mackley goes a little wide in the S's there, but not enough for Oscar Duval to try and get underneath. We're going to have 5 laps to go here at Sonoma, and a very eventful race here at the 2-mile road course, but not very eventful up at the front as Duncan Ward has taken control. He started on pole. He's led almost every lap, but he does have a couple lap cars in his way, and Hondayo, it looks like, is going to pull off of the track a little bit and let the 26 by without a fight. Dawson Lynn is trying to get third away from Duval in the 50 car, and it might work. Duval a little bit off the course there. Side by side for the position as Lynn tries to take advantage, but good run on the outside there for Oscar Duval. Lynn will still have the advantage in turn 7, though. Down through the S's. This is dangerous. This is not a part of a track. You want to go side by side in, and Dawson Lynn is not going to get by the 50. That was a very risky line going into that corner, but thankfully they did not crash. But Lynn was not able to make the pass on Duval there. So now there's another lap car in the way, the 10 of Huandayo, who appears to have been stricken by something. She's been off the pace for a good chunk of the race, but 59's going to have to get by the 10 car here, and it looks like he will on the front stretch. And he is closing in on Duncan Ward, but Huandayo is not making it easy for the 59 to get by her. She was so lenient letting the 26 by. She just kind of pulled over and let him by, but she put up a fight against Mackley there, but Mackley does get past the 10, but I don't know if there's enough time for Richard Mackley to make up the gap on Duncan Ward, even if he is faster. Duncan Ward does have Annie Baker in front of him, though, another lapped car, so that could potentially get in Ward's way. Oscar Duval will also get by the 10 of Huandayo. Dawson Lynn having a bit of trouble there. Didn't catch her at a good spot. Oh, Marshall's off the track. Could be a spot there for Fitzmaurice. That'll put Fitzmaurice in the top 5. She has gained quite a few spots in this race. Very impressive outing from the Thunderbolt Motorsports driver. Duncan Ward all over what's left of the back bumper of Annie Baker. So we approach 3 laps to go, and Ward will try and make the pass here in turn 1, but Baker is not letting him by easy. Mackley only closed in a 10th, though. So I think as long as Duncan Ward doesn't get into an incident, I think he'll probably be fine. Worth noting, Steve Brack appears to have come in and pit, so he could not make it on one stop after his early pit stop, and he's back in 23rd. Duncan Ward going through turn 7 right now. I think he's in a good spot, again, as long as he does not try and start anything with this 4 car. Mackley and Duval are definitely faster than him, but I don't think they've got enough time to close in that 3.6 second gap. So it's Duncan Ward's race to lose. He's looking for his 2nd win in 4 races here in the Amateur Series. And it would be the 3rd win of the season for Seven Hills Autosport. 2 laps to go. The gap at the line. Oh, 2.4 seconds. Mackley closed in by a second. I think Duncan Ward's going to have to do something about Annie Baker here. He's trying to make a pass on the outside, but Baker's still in the way. It's getting a little close for comfort for Duncan Ward. I still think he's okay, but it might get a little closer than maybe he's wanted it to. Maybe those tires are just too worn out on the 26 for him to do much of anything. He's going to try and dive bomb it into turn 7, get right up to the back of that 4 car. But she is still in the way. The 59 and 50 are hustling. I just don't know if there's enough time. Maybe if there were a couple more laps, they would have a chance, but we'll see. We'll see. Mackley is closing in. If Ward does manage to clear the 4 car of Baker, I think he has it made, but we're coming up on the white flag. 1 lap to go. Mackley and Duval are going to send it in turn 11. They know that they now have a chance to catch this 26, if only slim, as Ward is still struggling to get by Baker. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Ward can't get by Baker on the front stretch. It's 1.5 seconds. Again, I don't know if there's enough time. They gained about a second once again, but they need to gain a 1.5 seconds here. They're trying as hard as they can to close in on Duncan Ward. But it's also one thing to catch the 26. It's a whole other thing to pass that 26 car. I just don't know, even if Mackley does get to the back of Ward, if he's going to have enough time to make a move. I just don't think there's enough. Again, if there were a couple more laps, I think the Appalachia duo would have a chance here at the 26, but Ward's going to back off from Annie Baker here. Try and manage that gap. He's going to go a little wide in the corner. Mackley might have one shot in the hairpin if he can close in down the S's fast enough, but I just don't think he's going to get there. Going through turn 11 for the final time. Mackley is not close enough. His efforts will be in vain. And Duncan Ward is going to dominate here at Sonoma. He gets his second win of the Amateur Series season. Mackley will have to settle for second, although it was a big charge there in those final few laps. Again, if there were a few more laps, I think Mackley would have really had a shot to win this race. And same goes for Oscar Duval in the 50, basically following in the tire tracks of Mackley on those last few laps. Dawson Lynn is going to get a top 5, desperately needed for him. And Isabella Fitzmaurice will round out the top 5 in this race. It was a very chaotic race here at Sonoma. Don't think everyone's gotten past the finish line yet. No, we're still waiting on Annie Baker, but... Is this for position? No, it's not. The 2 is a lap down, but... What a race we had here at Sonoma, and things could really shift in the points here with Duncan Ward getting his second win. Kaylee Maxwell, LaTanya Gray, both having bad days. Mauricia Vebels finished 13th, so... I mean, Vebels is going to be very close to Maxwell for that points lead. So things could get very interesting for that battle. And the cutoff battle as well. Bridget Brousseau finished 14th. And again, she should pass LaTanya Gray. LaTanya Gray is going to fall out of the top 4. Thankfully, Gray does have that win back at Rockingham, so she's probably going to end up in one of the wildcard spots right now. It'll probably be her and Takashi in the wildcards right now, but Duncan Ward ends up getting the win, his second career win, his second one in the last 4 weeks. So Duncan Ward is on fire this year. And we knew that he had the talent to do this and the capability to do this. Last year was a bit of a struggle for him, trying to get acclimated to the car, but this year he's definitely got a handle on it. He's definitely one of the best drivers we've got in the Amateur Series right now, but we're going to show you the crash can here. Replays of all of the incidents that happened here at Sonoma, and then we're going to wrap up the broadcast here at the Sonoma Raceway. Lap number 2 of the race was our first incident. Sky and Jeddah just runs off into the dirt, sideswipes the 43 of Walter Bowser, and we've seen many incidents just like this one here at Sonoma. Bowser hits hard on the left side, going into that concrete wall. He's able to keep it going, but his car was very off pace and damaged for the rest of the race. Lap number 3, exiting the S's here, Mercedes Washington is going to go wide into the dirt and then cut across the front of Rhea Wickham there and Kasumi Takashi. Takashi's going to hit the wall there and then the end of the pit wall. And the 40 of Takamoto Aya runs into the back of the 20. Mauricia Vebels gets involved as well with a little bit of damage. And Bart Seiler, don't know if that damage was from before this incident. It appears that it was. I don't think he was in this, but he took evasive action there into the pit lane. But that was probably the biggest accident of the day, and it took quite a few cars out of the race, out of the running for a good finish at the very least. And here was the Bart Seiler incident. This is where he got his damage. Takamoto Aya runs into the side of the 45. They both go off in the same place that Walter Bowser did. They're able to mostly keep it straight, although they both have damage from that. And then we saw in that previous replay that Aya got even more damage from getting involved in the incident further down in the hairpins. So that ended up ending Aya's race. And, you know, as a road course ringer, you'd expect maybe Takamoto Aya would be a little bit better taking that corner than she was. This is really her first truly bad race of the season, I believe. So it's a bit surprising that happened on a road course. And there you see the incident now happening in front of her as Takashi noses into the wall. Aya tries to split through the middle, but not really anywhere for her to go once Takashi hit that barrier. And then that's where Vebels got her front end damage. I thought maybe that had happened later in the race, but it happened in this incident right here. And the incident that involved Latanya Gray was another incident here in the S as Annie Baker runs off course and takes the 14 out with her. Hard hit into the wall for both of them, especially Annie Baker, who hit it with the back end there. But that's what happened to Latanya Gray, and she's definitely going to be mad at Annie Baker after that one. She had no real fault in that, but they were just going side by side through that corner, and that corner has taken quite a few drivers out. As we kind of expected, that is the calamity corner here at Sonoma. A lot of incidents happened there, and this is yet another example of that, and involved a driver in the chase right now, and that'll probably knock her out of the top 4 in points. But thankfully she has that win to fall back on for a wild card spot for now, but she can't have too many more races like this if she wants to make the final 3. So Latanya Gray and Annie Baker are leaving the pits after they came in and repaired some damage from their incident the previous lap, and they come up the track right in front of Amani Huandayo, and that causes even more damage to Latanya Gray's car in the rear end, just not watching where they're going. And I mentioned earlier in the race that pit entry, or that pit exit rather, is very problematic. And there's another example of it. So the day just went from bad to worse for Latanya Gray. Already had to come in and pit due to getting involved in an incident that wasn't her fault, and then kind of creating another incident that could have been avoided. But that was not very good for the number 14. Once again, she's going to lose a lot of points from this race. And I'd say half the incidents weren't her fault and the other half were, so kind of 50-50 on that. And we saw this one happen as well. Ben Tachenko and Kaylee Maxwell side by side. Maxwell overruns the corner, and she and Tachenko tangle just one lap after Latanya Gray and Annie Baker did in the same corner. And that's, I believe, the 4th incident of that nature through that corner in the first 10 laps. The amateur series drivers don't really go on this track very often, so they're definitely not used to this corner, but it has definitely been a running trend that corner is a big problem spot for these guys, and that is going to possibly put Kaylee Maxwell's points lead at risk. And again, we're going to have to see after this is all over where she actually is in the point standings. I believe she'll probably still have the points lead, but it's going to be a lot closer than it was entering this race. And, Ben Tachenko's season, ever since he started it off with the win, has just gone downhill very rapidly. So it's been a bad season for the 6 of Tachenko outside of that win as well.